The reason you fall behind in life, unless you're genetically gifted where you have the godlike genes of a Chad and you never encounter any issues in your life, you've never had any arguments or any issues with anyone, which is basically impossible, then this video is going to be for you. Now, before we begin, believe me, I have a PhD when it comes to self-improvement. I've been studying self-improvement for about 30 years at this point. So when it comes to improving yourself or trying to get to that point in life where you want to be at, believe me, I'm the guy for it. And just to prove my point, I even brought a whiteboard today. And so today we're gonna have a little study session, a little lesson where I can really show and explain to you guys in a diagrammic way on why you fall behind and what are the 3 reasons why you fall behind and what you can do to actually change it. It could be that you have issues with relationships in your life. Maybe no girls like you. Maybe your job sucks. You don't like the people who you work with. You can't seem to get that raise. Or maybe you're in school and for whatever reason, nobody seems to like you. Or it could just simply be you're just wanting to just reach that next level. There are 3 main things that are stopping you. And believe me, in my community, we like to call it PSL. And so now what PSL stands for, I'll tell you, is first off, personality. Personality. First thing is gonna be personality. If you don't have a good personality, if you're not easy to get along with, then it's gonna hold you back in life because socially, people just aren't gonna wanna hang out with you or even be around you if you just don't have a good vibe and a good personality. The second thing is gonna be status. And I'll get to status in a minute because your version of status is probably not the same that it means on here. And the third and final one are looks. So we have PSL, we have personality, we have status, and we have looks. Now, why are these 3 things important? I'm gonna break down each 3 of these categories and explain to you why they're important and what things you can do to actually improve in these aspects. So the first thing is gonna be personality. Why does personality matter to begin with? Well, personality is probably the most important thing. The reason why personality is so important is because if you don't give off a good vibe, if you're not funny at all, if you just don't know how to get along with other people and be sociable, then how do you expect to get where you want to get at in life? If let's say you're wanting to get a raise at your job, it honestly doesn't even matter if you can get the job done. The thing that matters more than anything is, are you a sociable person and do you connect well with the other people around you? Because let's say you are a 10 out of 10 at actually getting the job done, but your personality is a 2 out of 10, then everybody else will view you as a 2 out of 10. In other words, meaning nobody else thinks that you can do your job. Whereas let's say you have a good personality, you get along with everybody, you're more likely to get a raise. Now, obviously there are specific situations where there are outliers, but as a general whole and a general basis, if you feel as if you're behind and everyone else is getting all these promotions and you're not, probably has to do a lot with your personality. Now, the next kind of core topic is status. Now, when I say status, I'm not saying that you need to have 100,000 followers on Instagram and it's the amount of clout and social popularity that you have. No, by no means is that what I'm referring to. Status refers to how other people who are in your personal circle view you. Are you a respected individual? So the people who you hang out with in your personal life, do they all view you as a respectable person? Now, you could apply status to social media, but the reason why I said that's not what I'm referring to is because when the average person thinks of status, that's the first thing that their mind goes to. And of course, if let's say you do have 100,000 or 1,000,000 followers on Instagram, then people are probably gonna take you more seriously, whereas if you're like me and you only have about 14,000 followers. So of course there's a status imbalance there, but what I'm mainly referring to, because obviously if you're watching this video, you probably don't have 100,000 followers. Maybe you do, I don't know, but most likely you're not. But it's more so about the people who you surround yourself with. Let's say you're in a job environment and you're wanting to get a raise, but everyone around you views you as a lesser, then it's gonna be a lot harder for you to convince people to give you that raise. It's the way that people around you perceive you to get the job done. Now keep in mind, with everything that I'm about to go over, I'm simply just giving you facts. I'm simply just diving straight in and I'm telling you what is wrong and what you need to do to improve. I'm not saying that you should care about what other people think about you. What I am saying is if you are wanting to reach a certain level in your life, you have to be able to come across a certain way. And you shouldn't, and once again, take everything I say with a grain of salt and do not overstress and overcomplicate your own life and add on unnecessary barriers based off what I say. Because everything that I say and things that you should implement, use at your own discretion. Now, looks. Why do looks matter? Looks are probably the most important thing when it comes to trying to elevate yourself and get a head start in life, because think about it. All the people who are genetically gifted, who automatically just look amazing, they simply and realistically can easily get further in life than someone who doesn't. They get a little bit of a head start. Now, I'm not saying looks are everything, because looks are just the first impression. And I'm not even saying that you have to be a 10 out of 10 or you have to look absolutely, you have to mog absolutely everyone who you see. No, that's not what I mean at all. But there are certain things that you can do to improve your looks that will naturally push you further in life just because you look more polished and more well-rounded. Look at me, I have the nice polo on. I have the glasses. It symbolizes that I know what I'm talking about. And so the most important thing whenever people first meet you is your looks. People are automatically going to judge you and make assumptions about you based off of the way that you look whenever you first meet somebody. And that's just how life works. So what you need to understand is if you are wanting to come across a certain way, you have to look a certain way. So if you're wanting to come across as a very confident person, you probably shouldn't be walking around slunched over. You just look closed off. Your hair is not, right. You have bad skin. There's so many things that I could go over, which I will go over in a minute, on why your looks matter more than what you think they do. Now, starting off with personality. Ability. Also, ignore my handwriting. It hasn't changed since I was in kindergarten. Now, think about it this way. How do you expect to win in life if you just simply aren't likable? And at the end of the day, everybody can be likable. You're not born just naturally people hate you. That's just not how society works. You have to do something that makes it to where people view you as a lesser. And so you really have to think about it. How do you approach your day-to-day life? Whenever someone asks you a simple question such as, hey, how's it going? How's your day going? Do you respond with a negative response such as, I'm tired, my life sucks, I don't want to be here? Then you're probably going to be viewed as if, okay, well, he's naturally a negative person. He doesn't seem to like a lot of things. I don't want to surround myself with that because then it's going to rub off on me. Therefore, you need to make sure that you are likable. Try to be more uplifting and more positive. Even if your day is going absolutely terrible, just come up with something on why your day is good. Because not only are you going to come across to other people as a more positive person, but to yourself, whatever energy that you're radiating out into the open will reflect back onto you. Karma is a very real thing. So if you're saying, well, this did happen, but, at least I got to do this after, which made me a little bit more happy. You're already coming across as this guy has bad things that happen in his life, but he always finds a way to overcome them, and he always finds the good in the bad. And so automatically, by you having that little mindset shift is automatically going to make you a more likable person, which is what you want, which will allow you to go further in life. So on top of personality, if you have a good personality, it's going to attract others around you. And so once again, now this video is primarily aimed towards guys, but it also works towards women. But let's say you're a guy and you don't talk to any girls, such as myself. I don't talk to absolutely anyone. But if let's say you struggle to talk to women, or you struggle to even get any type of attention from any type of girls, just any woman, anyone. And let's say you're a girl and you struggle to get attention from guys. You have to be able to attract with your personality. If let's say you're in a social setting and you never pitch in, you never say any jokes, you never chime in, say something positive or add on to the conversation, people aren't going to gravitate towards you. You trying to be mysterious and just simply not saying anything, I'm going to be in the corner and not talk, all that's going to do is push people away from you and make them not even want to get to know you. Because I used to just not say anything and I would just keep my mouth shut. And especially if you're in that conversation, you have to come across as an approachable person to be able to attract people to want to talk to you to begin with. Which leads me to my next point, is your negativity. If you are always a negative person, people are not going to want to talk to you. I kind of touched on this earlier. You have to make sure that when you're talking to people, you're not always complaining about things. If it's something justified that you can complain about and you're making a funny story about it, then there's nothing wrong with complaining about something. But if every time you talk to someone, especially people who you're trying to connect with and who you want to build a relationship with, if you're always complaining, you're always talking about negative things, nothing ever excites you, you never show passion for anything, you just always complain and hate everything, why would anyone want to surround themselves with that? So just keep that in the back of your head whenever you're talking to people. Am I just complaining? Or am I saying something that's adding on to the conversation, and am I being productive? So that's just something to keep in mind, is your personality matters a lot more than what you think it does. Now, for status. When it comes to status, the people who your environment. Now here's why your environment matters when it comes to status. If people who are in your social circle already do not respect you, then it is very difficult to change your status. Now, I'm not saying just abandon everybody who you're with if you do have a bad environment, but by improving your personality and improving your looks can definitely help you improve in your environment. Because if everybody around you doesn't give you that respect, anytime you meet somebody new or somebody new joins that kind of social circle, it could be a friend social circle. It could be people who you work with in your job. It could be people who you eat lunch with at school. No matter what the case is, if you're not respected, it's gonna be very, very difficult to kind of get out of this rut that's holding you down in society. Because if you're wanting to get a raise at a job, if your environment is just nobody respects you, it's gonna be very hard to get that raise. You need to make that social assessment yourself. I can't tell you because it varies person to person and situation to situation. But depending on your situation, if you are so down in your environment and just everybody hates you and you're not respected, probably best you leave that environment. And whenever you do decide to leave that environment, focus on your personality and focus on improving your appearance, because those are two key things that just by improving both of those will make you go so far in life. And like I said, by improving both personality and looks will automatically make your status much higher. Now, just because people don't respect you right now does not mean that they will never respect you to begin with. So really be very careful in how you do this social assessment of your personal circle, because you could always just simply improve yourself. Think about the micro habits that you're implementing into your life. Why are you not respected? What things are you doing? Because if you are just always the target and the punching bag and you've tried to not become the punching bag, but everyone always results to picking on you, then it's probably because the other people in your social circle are insecure and they don't know what to do. So to keep their status up, then they're always going to pick on you specifically, which means that you should probably be leaving that social circle. But anyways, so environment, figure out if your environment is good enough to stay in or if it's something that you should be leaving. Trying to think of another thing for status. We'll do online. Okay, so your online status. Let's say you're wanting to do social media and you only have 300 followers. You have to think about the way that you are coming across online. If you are filming videos as if you have 1 million followers and as if you have this cult-like audience, and you only have 300 followers, people are gonna look at you and just know that you're a scam. They're gonna look at you and just know that you are absolutely full of shit and that you have no idea what you're talking about. Like before you even begin to, basically what I mean by this is before you even begin to, give a lecture and think as if you know what you're actually talking about, you probably should have at least like 1 million followers before you do so. Because otherwise, what are you even yapping about at this point? Now, of course, I'm obviously at that status. Now you have to keep in mind, be genuine whenever you are online. If you are trying to put on a false character that does not come natural to you, then people are gonna see right through you and that's automatically gonna bring down your status level. Because especially if you're trying to sell a product online or you're trying to cultivate an audience, you have to show genuine authenticity with what you do. Otherwise, people are just gonna see right through you and they're gonna be like, why am I even watching this content? I don't even care. They're gonna click off the video, which most of you probably already have, and they're gonna go watch something else. So keep in mind, be genuine. Post content that is genuine to you and don't try to put on a false facade because people are going to realize that very quickly. Now, the final thing that I'm going to go over for status is opportunity. Now, what do I mean by opportunity? What I mean by that is if you already have a status from other people in your life, now what I mean by opportunity. For example, a reference from a previous job. If let's say you worked at a job and you did absolutely amazing, you smashed it 10 out of 10, and you use them as a reference, it's probably gonna help you get another job. Or if you just simply have that job experience, or you have some sort of experience in the past that will allow you to perform well at this new job that you wanna go to, you're probably gonna get more hired because of that. Compared to someone who has absolutely no experience and they have no references, then why would they hire them if they have no experience? They're gonna hire the person who has experience, which is why I say opportunity matters when it comes to status, because you have the status of already knowing what it is that you're doing or what it is that you're talking about. And I know a lot of young people nowadays are struggling to get a job that pays them very well, because think about it, why would job companies hire someone who have no idea what they're doing, they have no job experience, they want to hire someone who has like 10 plus years of that job experience. So you need to play your cards very carefully. Put yourself in situations where you already have that experience or you have that social status that can get you that job or can get you that promotion. And even when it comes to sports, if let's say you're in school and you had a sibling who used to play football and you're wanting to play football, most likely chance you're gonna perform better in football because you're gonna get more attention from the coaches because your brother used to play. So that's what I'm saying. The status that you have will lead to more opportunity within your life. Now, the third and most controversial one. Oh wow, I love this one. And this is looks. Looks are probably the most important thing when it comes to falling behind in life, because your appearance is the first thing that people notice whenever they meet you. Because, for example, let's say you're wearing a white wife beater, you have tattoos all over you, you don't have very good skin, you have a buzz cut, you look like you beat people for fun. People probably aren't going to think that you're a kind-hearted person. People are probably going to think either A, you've been through a lot, B, you've done a lot, or C, that you're probably going to rob them. So that's just something to keep in mind, is the way that your appearance is matters drastically. Now, the first thing that I'll go over is jobs. Jobs, bro, jobs. Now, I'm going to use Hooters for an example, right? We all know Hooters, the people, the wing restaurant where they use women who wear absolutely nothing delivering you your food. Do you think people go there for the wings, or do you think people go there for the women? Now, some people, including myself, I like the food, but I know a lot of people who go to Hooters simply just because they like seeing the women. Now, be honest with yourself. Do you think Hooters are gonna hire women who don't meet the criteria of all the other Hooters women? Do they look like they're plastic and that they have a bunch of microplastics within their body? The answer is probably gonna be no, because you have to meet that, because you have to look a certain type of way. So if you're wanting to work a job, you need to make sure that you look a certain type of way. And there are so many ways to improve your looks and appearance. I can make that an entire video series, but it could be simply the way you dress. It could be your hairstyle. It could be your face. It could be your skincare. It could be the way you smell. It could be just your hygiene. Just everything in general adds up as a collective that makes you, you. So if you look a certain way, your status is going to change a certain way. And even if you look better, people are going to think your personality is better naturally. And I know it seems like it's an unfair world that we live in, but that's just simply how it works. So if you just simply improve your appearance, you're going to go so much further in life, and life is going to be 10 times easier. And I'm not saying you should stress and beat yourself up if you're not simply attractive, because that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you have to look a certain way. I'm just saying there are things that you can do to improve yourself to make you look the way that you are wanting to look. So obviously, jobs. It'll help you get better job opportunities. Next thing, woman. If let's say you're wanting to attract women, right? Think about it. If let's say there's a girl on social media who you think looks a 10 out of 10, you think she looks amazing, but yet she posts nothing but thirst traps on there. Do you really think you're the only guy in her DMs? Most likely, no. She probably gets hundreds of guys a day. And so if simply your looks aren't there, then she's probably not even going to respond to you. Especially when it comes to attraction and relationships, is the first thing people are going to notice. And so if somebody naturally gets a lot of attention every single day and every single week, every second of their life, then they're going to be very judgy and very picky, rightfully so, if they're getting that attention. So by you have to make sure that you are working on yourself. If instead of scrolling all day, looking at all these women, fantasizing about them, why not instead just improve your own life? Go to the gym, work out, take care of yourself, take care of your skin. How can I do this? How can I do that? There's so many guides that you can look at. How do I improve my hair? How do I improve my skin? How do I lose weight? How do I get fit? There's so many like little small things that you could be doing. There's so many things that you could be doing to improve your appearance that you simply just have to just put in the effort to do so. And it's not something that's gonna happen overnight. I'm sure there's a lot of one easy quick fixes that you can do, but realistically, if you're wanting to improve your looks, it's gonna take a lot of time and a lot of dedication. You have to understand that life is naturally unfair. So some people have life easier than others, and there's nothing wrong with that. You just need to understand where you're at and what you can do to make your life easier. Because at the end of the day, everybody can always improve in all areas of their life. You just have to just figure out what it is I need to do and how to do so. Now, money. Now, money is the easiest thing that looks can buy. And this applies to everything that I've gone over. Simply, if your looks are good, better job opportunities. If you post on social media, you're probably gonna get better brand and sponsor deals. It's gonna be easier to get followers because just by you simply existing and being a person, regardless of your content, if you look good, people are going to follow you. There's so many ways that looks can make you money. If you look really, really good, you can make money just by looking good, by being a model. So back to the reason why I made this video is why you're falling behind in life. The reason why you're falling behind in life is probably because you lack in one of, if not more of these areas within your life. Because if you have status, if you have a good personality, and your appearance is good, your life probably you're probably gonna live a good life. Because if your status is good, your looks and personality are good, that means money is gonna be flowing in. It means that you're probably gonna be able to get into good relationships. But you have to think about the mindset, which kind of leads me back to your personality. If you become super egotistical and think that looks matter more than anything else, then guess what? You're gonna lack in the personality department. And no matter how good you look, you're never gonna live a truly happy and fulfilled life. So what you really need to consider is all three of these things are equal. So here's the thing. Looks are the most important thing for first interactions. Personality is the most important thing for maintaining relationships. And status is the most important thing when it comes to maintaining that legacy. So all three of these are important in their own ways. And so if you're falling behind in life, just look at all of these things and figure out what is it that I can do right now to improve myself and reach that next level. Now, if you're wanting to make videos on any of these things specifically, just feel free to let me know because like I said, I have a PhD in this. I've been studying this for 30 years. But yeah, I appreciate you for being here. Hopefully you found this video informative. If you want to make more videos like this, let me know. Y'all have a nice day. Take care and peace.